It's a new day in the workroom. Wow, I haven't said that in a long time. It still feels unreal to be back, but I want to continue proving to these queens what I'm capable of. I have to be at my best every week because I know the moment I land at the bottom, it could be game over for me.
The queens gather in the workroom, where Penelope thanks Peter and Mrs. Garrison for not choosing her lipstick. Peter explains it was an easy decision since Sailor Moon wanted nothing to do with him or Jessica. Mrs. Garrison reveals to the queens that she feels closer to Penelope than to Sailor Moon, especially after her poor performance in the challenge. Peppa interjects, suggesting Sailor Moon actually performed well, but All Stars is simply a higher level of competition. Mrs. Garrison sharply tells Peppa to stay out of her conversation. Peppa, undeterred, questions why Mrs. Garrison blocked her number. Mrs. Garrison rolls her eyes, asking if Peppa recalls her Graham Norton interview about her stupid movie. Peppa hesitantly says yes, prompting Lola to ask Mrs. Garrison for an explanation. As Mrs. Garrison recounts the story, the Graham Norton interview footage plays on the screen. Peppa Pig apologizes to Mrs. Garrison, admitting that it was years ago, she only wanted to draw attention to her movie by using Mrs. Garrison's name. Mrs. Garrison acknowledges that, despite the years, the incident still pained her, especially on national television, but she accepts Peppa's apology and playfully mocks the movie as a flop. The queens share a laugh, and Peppa joins in. Lola, seeing Peppa and Mrs. Garrison on good terms, invites Peppa to join the Pretty Girl Alliance. Peppa declines, expressing a preference to ally with Pink Panther, Stella, and Starmie instead. Jessica chuckles, noting this is another alliance for All Stars 3, alongside the House of Griffins and the Pretty Girls. Stella mentions they also had Sailor Moon, thinking she would advance further, but Lola cuts her off saying well she's not. Lashana, looking around the room, notices she's the only one not in an alliance. Meg, noticing Lashana's worry, tells her that they have each other. Stewie also looks to her and winks at her. Suddenly, a producer intervenes, urging the queens to prepare for the mini-challenge.
Wow, shit is getting real here. Alliances are forming left and right. I understand that in All Stars, alliances are crucial, but I came to stand out as my own queen, not to depend on others. However, when your fate lies in the hands of another queen instead of RuPaul, perhaps an alliance is necessary. I know I have my girl Meg, and I think I can trust Stewie. Peter, not so much. Should I join the House of Griffin? I'm uncertain, but I'll have to wait and see.
Penelope Pitstop wins the mini-challenge.
Winning my first mini-challenge has really boosted my morale, especially after last week when I almost went home. I can't allow myself to be in that position again. I was fortunate that Sailor Moon was in the bottom with me, and Peter won. Had it been anyone else, I might have been the one to go, but it's a new week, and it's time to move past that.
My queens, get ready to bring the plastics to life because this week you will be acting in our very own version of Mean Girls. Now Penelope Pitstop, as the winner of the mini-challenge, you will assign the roles. Now good luck and don't F it up.
An acting challenge, I feel nervous. I was in the bottom during my season, but I've grown since then. I've taken several acting classes, starred in a few movies, and I'm not seeking anything major. A side role would be fine, just enough to get me through to next week.
The queens gather back round, and Penelope announced to them that she will assign the lead role of Katie Heron to herself. Stella had also desired the role, but Penelope apologized and asked if she had a backup choice. Stella responded with Janice Ian, to which Penelope agreed and assigned her the role.
I truly desire the lead role, but Penelope cast herself, and I can't be upset. She needs to justify why she was chosen over Sailor Moon, whom I miss. However, I am confident in my ability to excel as Janice Ian. She's completely different from me, but I enjoy a challenge. Having been among the top in my season's acting challenge, I believe I've got this.
Penelope delegates the remaining roles and inquires if the queens have any issues. Starmie responds affirmatively, questioning why she was assigned the brief role of the crying girl. Before Penelope can reply, Lola interjects, suggesting it's because they want Starmie to fail. Unfazed, Starmie smirks and asserts that she will excel in the small role. She then questions the queens about their desire for her failure, to which they unanimously admit. Pink Panther clarifies that it's not personal, it's simply because Starmie already has a crown, and the others do not. Starmie acknowledges their motives, assuring them that this conversation will not impact her performance or her relationships with them. Panther expresses gratitude, and they disperse to practice their lines. Penelope will play Katie Heron. Stella will play Janice Ian. Peter will play Damien. Lola will play Regina George. Meg will play Gretchen. Stewie will play Karen. Pink Panther will play Aaron Samuels. Jessica Rabbit will play Ms. Norbury. Mrs. Garrison will play Principal Duval. Lashana will play Regina's mother. Peppa Pig will play Katie's father. Starmie will play the crying girl. The queens divided into groups to practice their roles. Penelope distributed scripts, while Peppa expressed annoyance with her part. Penelope reminded her that she had a chance to speak earlier. Peter agreed, questioning why Peppa was raising the issue now. Peppa explained she didn't want to cause a scene earlier. Peter urged her not to take the role and not to disrupt the current rehearsal, as he needs to concentrate on his role, thanking Penelope for the role. Panther also expressed gratitude for receiving one of the lead roles. Penelope acknowledged their thanks and inquired if they had previous acting challenges. Peppa and Pink Panther indicated no, while Peter and Stella affirmed they had, with Stella mentioning she placed high in hers. Peter revealed he also placed high and inquired about the winner of Stella's challenge. She answered Yzma, and Peter mentioned his was won by Queen of Hearts. He observed they shared similarities, to which Stella agreed and wished that the best queen would win. Overwhelmed, Peppa requested a glass of water from the production team. A producer hands Peppa some water, while Stella and Panther soothe her, advising her to take a moment for herself and sip the water. Penelope and Peter exchange glances and roll their eyes while rehearsing their lines. Penelope requests Peter to practice a few lines with her, but he declines, saying he's concentrating on his own lines at the moment. Penelope walks over to Lola, Meg, and Stewie to rehearse their segment of the challenge. Lola, concerned, asks Penelope if she's going to be okay with her extensive lines. Penelope assures her she'll manage, but it's Peppa who's struggling. When Meg inquires about the issue, Penelope reveals that Peppa had a panic attack and needed some water. Stewie, worried, proposes they check on her, but Lola suggests it's best if only she and Penelope do so. Meg concurs, emphasizing the importance of not overwhelming Peppa in case she has another attack. Stewie agrees and decides to practice lines with Meg, which helps them bond significantly. Lola approaches the other queens with Penelope. Stella snaps at her, questioning her intentions. Lola tells her to calm down, explaining she's just checking on Peppa. Peppa thanks her, assuring she will be fine. Noticing a glass of water on the table, Lola deliberately knocks it over. Water spills all over Stella's script. Lola utters an "oops" and dismisses it as an accident, but Stella is furious as her script is drenched and rips apart when she tries to pick it up. She accuses Lola of sabotage. Lola insists it was an accident, still giggling, and denies any sabotage. In the distance, Lashana and Starmie shake their heads and question Mrs. Garrison and Jessica if they truly want to be involved in such drama. They exchange glances and decide to focus on rehearsing their lines instead, while Lola walks away. Stella is furious, but the queens soothe her, gently dabbing her with a towel. She expresses her gratitude and shares her lacking a script. Panther offers his script for her to use alongside him. Thankful, she tells Panther that without his help, she would be hopeless. Their bond strengthens significantly. Peter tells her to keep it down, he's trying to focus. Panther tells him to have some compassion.
This is all my fault. I should have voiced my concern about my role when I could. And I wouldn't have had my panic attack and the water wouldn't be there. I'm so sorry, Stella.
Pink Panther, Peter Griffin, Meg Griffin and Mrs. Garrison slayed the challenge.
The challenge went really well for me. I consider myself an actor. I've had my own hit TV show back in the day, before my drag days. I think these queens are not noticing me as much, just because I was on season 1. That was a long time ago, and I've had plenty of time to refine my drag.
I slayed this challenge and could be among the top 2. Working with Stewie instead of my dad truly made a difference. I didn't have someone constantly hovering over me, insisting I focus. I was concentrated, and even working alongside Lola didn't distract me. That's how focused I was, Dad.
Peppa Pig, Starmie, Lashana and Stewie had a great performance.
I assured these queens that I would make the most of this minor role, and indeed, I delivered a fantastic performance. I'm aware that there's a desire among them for me to fail, which is painful, particularly coming from my sister Pink Panther. However, as I've stated before, I won't let it impact my performance or my relationship with them.
Wow, the House of Griffin really nailed this performance. The judges loved it. I enjoyed working alongside Meg, and seeing Peppa do well after her panic attack made me happy.
Penelope Pitstop, Lola, Jessica Rabbit and Stella had a good performance.
I enjoyed portraying Regina George, and feel I fit the role well. Thanks, Penny. I may have immersed myself in the character a bit too much, and allegedly, sabotaged someone again by accident. Hee hee.
I performed quite well, despite Lola's sabotage. I'm greatly thankful to the Pink Panther for allowing me to use his script. Lola needs to leave. She sabotaged me this week and my sister Musa last season. It's uncertain who her next target will be if she remains here.
On the runway, category is Pink. Peter Griffin, Mrs. Garrison, Meg Griffin, Starmy, Jessica Rabbit, Lola and Stella slayed the runway.
I believe I have an excellent chance of staying in the top 2 for 2 weeks in a row. My performance. Slayed, my runway. Slayed, Mrs. Garrison isn't here to play around, she's here to win.
Peppa Pig and Penelope Pitstop had a great runway.
Of course I had a great runway on the pink runway. I am pink. The judges loved my concept.
Pink Panther, Lashana and Stewie had a good runway.
You're kidding, I didn't slay the pink runway. I still did pretty good, but I don't think the judges got what I was giving them. Oh well.
Welcome to the judges panel. She is our resident All-Stars judge, she is Daphne. And our extra special guest judge, she is acting legend, she is Lindsay Lohan. Now let the judging commence. Peter Griffin, Mrs. Garrison, congratulations, you are the top 2 queens.
2 weeks in a row, and 2 weeks with Mrs. Garrison. I see her as my only competition at the moment.
I told y'all Mrs. Garrison is not here to play around, she's here to win, and my second time in the top again with Peter. He's tough competition, he needs to go.
Pink Panther, good job this week, you are safe.
I'm so happy to be in the top. This old season queen still got it. But damn Mrs. Garrison and Peter, can you let us have a nibble of the top 2?
That means, Lola, Stella and Penelope Pitstop, you are the bottom queens. Lola, you are safe.
My first low spot and thankful to be saved again. But even if I landed in the bottom I wouldn't be nervous. I know Mrs. Garrison and Peter both have my back here. Lola strikes again.
2 top all-stars stand before me. Time has come. Would you lip sync? For your legacy!
I'm furious about being here. It should be Lola and Penny instead. They performed the worst in the challenge, not me. I was the one with a soaked script. I'm hoping that today's events won't affect my place here.
I'm feeling quite anxious, hoping they don't pick my lipstick. I gave them the roles they wanted, and I'm on good terms with Mrs. Garrison. However, I'm not as close with Peter. He was reluctant to rehearse lines with me earlier, so I'm uncertain about the outcome.
The lip-sync song is Rumors by Lindsay Lohan. Mrs. Garrison took off her wig and had a good lip-sync. Peter had a great lip-sync. Peter Griffin.
You're a winner, baby. With great power comes great responsibility.
Peter Griffin.
Which queen have you chosen to get the chop?
Well, RuPaul, I haven't formed a bond with either queen. One was here last week and promised to do better, but didn't, and I was informed by another queen that there's a plan orchestrated by the other to eliminate the House of Griffin, which is why I am sending home Stella.
As it is written, so it shall be done.
Stella.
You are an all-star. Now, sashay away.
Thanks for having me back. House of Winx Club forever.
This is untucked.
Before Peter and Mrs. Garrison selected their lipsticks, Lola approached Peter and relayed that she had overheard Stella telling Lashana about her plan to eliminate the House of Griffin at any opportunity. Peter responded in disbelief, reminding her that Lashana is Meg's friend. Lola retorted that in All Stars, friendship means nothing, and then she flirted with him and kissed him, then walked off. Mrs. Garrison disclosed his preference for Penelope's lipstick over Stella's, stating that Stella had not lived up to her promises. Penelope expressed her gratitude to both Mrs. Garrison and Peter, assuring them she wouldn't disappoint. Peter interjected, reminding her of her similar assurance the previous week and warning that it would be her last chance. Penelope began to cry, but Jessica consoled her, and told her to step it up. Lola teased Jessica about her eagerness to say that, to which Jessica admitted she'd been waiting since she first saw Sailor Moon. They shared a laugh and walked away. The Pretty Girl Alliance gathered to celebrate Mrs. Garrison's second top 2 placement. Jessica expressed her jealousy of Mrs. Garrison's success and acknowledged her need to step up her game. Lola agreed, giggling, and added that it's true Jessica needed to. In response, Jessica quipped that at least she didn't have to sabotage anyone. Lola laughs and said, well, maybe people shouldn't leave glasses of water around. They all laugh. Lola also adds she kissed Peter Griffin as well. Mrs. Garrison, shocked, told her, you know his wife is crazy, right? Lola said she doesn't care about her, and they all drink their cocktails. Some of the queens gathered to discuss the recent elimination. Pink Panther expressed his shock at her early departure. Meg agreed and inquired if Stella had asked any of them to eliminate the House of Griffin. They unanimously denied it. Meg said she doesn't care anyways. They all assured her of their honesty, revealing a collective desire to dismantle the Pretty Girl Alliance, beginning with Lola.
Brian, are you seeing this? Who is that bitch, and why did she kiss my husband? Oh, I am mad. I am furious. Oh, I am on my way there right now. Hello, RuPaul. Yes, it's Lois Griffin from Season 1 and All Stars 1. Prepare your security, I'm coming down to that studio, and I'm going to tear apart that bitch of a fish. Hope you're well. Give me a call for another All Stars, will ya?